Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Radha Govarandari Radha Govarandari Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai.
Namam Vishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namam Vishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Namam Ishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namam Ishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Yasoda Biolokaladavamanam Paramrishamantranta Thodrucha Gopya Biolokaladavamanam Rudantam Muhunetra Yugmam Rijantam Karamboja Yugmena Satankanetram yugmena satankanetram amohat amuhuspasakam patrirekankakantra Tigraivam damodaram bhaktivadar Tigraivam damodaram bhaktivadam Iti driksvalila mirananda kunde Svagoshamni madyantam akyapayantam Tariyeshitagesho bhakte jitatvam Puna prematastam sata vrittivande Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va Nachanyam vrineham varesharapiha Idam te vapurnata gopala balam Sada me manasya virashtam kimanya Idante mukham bodhyam antyanchanilai Vritam kundai lai snigda raktaisya gopya Muhuschumbitam bimba raktadadame Manasya virashnamalam lakshalabai Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prashida Prabodhuka Jalabhimagna Kripa Drishti Vrishati Dinam Batano Riyane Shamamagyam Ejakshi Drishya Kurveratma Jobadam Murjaiva Jadvat Vaya Mochito Bhakti Bhajo Kritocha Tata Prema Bhaktim Svakame Prayachcha Namokshe Grahomesti Damodareha Namaste Studamne Spuraditi Damne Vadiyodarayata Vishvasya Damne Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nanchalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nanchalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Priyaya Namo Nanchalilaya Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Satchidanandam Jasoda Biolukaladavamanam Param Rishyamantanta Todrutya Gopya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Govardhani Radha Govardhani Shri Radhe Radha Govardhani Radha Govardhani Shri Radhe Hariba 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 Nitai Gaura Hariba Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who had been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisance.
Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Sudanandana Bhajanjana Rahanjana Jasodanandana Bhajanjana Rahanjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Sodanandana Brajanjana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajanjana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Radha Govardhan Dari ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. That's okay. Is that the right? That was from yesterday, right? It's all right. Okay, so we're just going to read the next one, 3:11, 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 11, titled Calculation of Time from the Atom, text number 18. So we wait. I can hear that. That's all right, no pressure. So the Puranas explain that the Bhagavatam is compared to the form of the Lord, and first cantos, the lotus feet, and third and fourth canto are the thighs, and it goes on until we reach Krishna's lotus face. 10th canto, and then we have the forehead and the crown, 11th and 12th canto. So this is the, thank you. This is we're in the thick of the curriculum of Bhagavatam, topic of creation and corollary themes. Okay, Maitreya Uvacha Kritam Treta Dvaparam Cha Kritam Treta Dvaparam Cha Kalischeti Chaturuyugam Kalischeti Chaturuyugam Dibhyaire Dvadashavir Varshai Dibhyair Dvadashavir Varshai Savadanam Nirupitam Savadanam Nirupitam Maitreya Uvacha Kritam Treta Dvaparam Cha Kalischeti Chaturyugam Divyardvadashavir Varshai Savadanam Nirupitam. Maitreya Uvacha Savadana Nirupitam. Maitreya Uvacha Savadana Nirupitam. Maitreya Uvacha Uvacha. Maitreya said, Kritam, the age of Satya. Treta, the age of Treta. Dwaparam, the age of Dwapara. Cha, also. Kalihi, the age of Kali. Cha, and. Iti, thus. Chatu Yugam, 4 millenniums. Dibhyai, of the demigods. Dadashavihi, 12. Varashahi, thousands of years. Sa avadhanam, approximately. Nirupitam, a certain. Translation. Please repeat. Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called the Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yugas. The aggregate number of years of all of this combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yugas. The aggregate number of years of all these combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The years of the demigods are equal to 360 years of humankind. As will be clarified in the subsequent verses, 12,000 of the demigods' years, including the transitional periods which are called Yuga Sandhyas, comprise the total of the aforementioned 4 millenniums. Thus, the aggregate of the above mentioned 4 millenniums is 4,320,000 years. Shall we stay in this one or shall we read a few more? Some? All right. So these verses here describe the divisions of time. So we're just going to read a few others. Text 19. Chatvari trini dve chaikam kritadishu jatakramam sankyatani sahasrani dvigunani satani cha. The duration of the Satya millennium equals 4,800 years of the demigods. The duration of the Treta equals 3,600 years of the demigods. The duration of the Dwapara millennium equals 2,400 years. And that of the Kali millennium, it's 1,200 years of the demigods. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As aforementioned, 1 year of the demigods is equal to 360 years of the human beings. The duration of the Satya Yuga is therefore 4,800 times 360, or 1,728,000 years. The duration of the Treta Yuga is 3,600 times 360, or 1,296,000 years. The duration of the Dwapara Yuga is 2,400 times 360, or 864,000 years. And the last, the Kali Yuga, is 1,200 times 360, or 432,000 years. Okay. Anyone remember some of the numbers? Huh? Okay, so the topic here is time, and the Bhagavatam is explaining quite in detail some of these aspects of how time manifests. So the question may be raised, why do we have to study this? Why do we have to get into so many little minute details? If we zoom out and see the big picture of the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam is basically teaching us about the Supreme Lord. It teaches about the Supreme Lord. It teaches how to know about Him. All the concepts that are given in the Bhagavad Gita are expanded in the Bhagavatam. And also explains how the devotee understands the Lord through the process of bhakti. So is Bhagavan, Bhakti, and the Bhakta. So the whole idea is to justify or to substantiate the instruction that Sukadev Goswami gives to Parikshit Maharaj. Again, we're trying to zoom out and see the big picture so we can understand why all these details are there. As you know, Parikshit Maharaj was cursed and he had no time. Right? How many days he had? 7 days. 7 days only. So sometimes the question may be put forward to us, what will we do if we would have 7 days? Where will you go? Whom would you talk? What would you say? How would you feel? Right? That's a challenging question. Because as a matter of fact, there will be a time when we will have 7 days left. Is it? Right? So the Bhagavatam is preparing us for that time. And he gives us example what to do with time. So the answer that Sukadev Goswami gives to Parikshit Maharaj when he asked him, what should I do? I only have 7 days. And of course he asked a few questions. First he asked some of the sages that were gathered at the shore of the river Jamuna, as Prabhupada explains. But basically the question is twofold. What shall we do when we are living? And what shall we do when we are dying? That's basically a simple way to remember the questions that Parikshit Maharaj presented. So it comes down to that, to time. Right? So the topic is time. And what is the answer that Sukadev Goswami gives? That you should worship the Lord all the time. Rupa Goswami presents in his Upadeshamrita the Upadesha Shara, or the essence. That's why it's called Nectar of Instruction, right? It's a little book. And he gives in text number 8 the essence of all instructions. So many instructions, so many things that we read and we learn in the Bhakti Shastras. But this is the essence of all these instructions. It's called Upadesha Sharam. This is what Rupa Goswami says. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time. That's our word. 24 hours a day in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Braj, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees, who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So that's the essence of all instructions, as Rupa Goswami mentions. So worship the Lord. That's the recommendation. But here in this conditioned state, we don't like that. And we're here because we rejected that. We want to be the Lord's ourselves. And Srila Prabhupada, the Shastras explain that the reason why we are here is because we want to compete with the Lord. In fact, we want to steal from Him. Sometimes this material world is compared to a prison house, right? the third chapter, the third section of the Bhagavad Gita describes all that, that aspect of life, the prison house, and how the Lord in our heart guides us, how He explains to us how we operate in this material world, how can we break the bars from the prison, right? How we can find the key to get out of that. And that section begins with the chapter 13, nature, enjoy, and consciousness. So the key here is consciousness. So all these teachings from the Bhagavatam is to help us to develop our Krishna consciousness. So what does this have to do with us worshiping the Lord? Why do we need to know all these things, all these details? And I don't know if any of you have extraordinary memory, and if anybody can remember, I'm sure Maharaj can, maybe Prabhu. Anybody remember some of the numbers? Are you good with numbers? Anyone? Some of the numbers that I read, right? Just, of course, these things need to be studied and noted down, etc. But the whole idea is to convince us that the Lord is meant to be worshipped. That's the idea. And as I said earlier, these Bhagavatam descriptions are elaborations of the concepts given in the Gita. And in the Gita we have a sequence. And when Krishna talks about himself as the Supreme Lord in chapter 7, in the last chapter, he defines his position or his supremacy in three aspects. Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adijagya. And Adibhuta refers to the capacity of him creating everything. When he says Adibhutam, the governing principle of creation. That means that he is the one, he is the source. And these last two cantos, Canto 2 and Canto 3, that aspect is explained in detail. In the Gita we have 5 topics. What are those topics? Who remembers? Time is one. Good. Karma. Anyone else? It's easy. Jiva, yeah. 3. Prakriti, nature. And Ishvara, the controller. Those are five topics. In the Bhagavatam, it is described in the 2nd canto, 10th chapter, the first verse, that there are 10 topics. So it's easy, 5 and 10. So, because generally we won't remember the whole thing, I want you to remember the first 3. It's easy. It says that in remembering things, 3 is the easiest number. So, Sarga, or the creation, the original creation, that it's the Lord, by the Lord. And Visarga, which is the cosmic manifestation of the secondary creation, that it's done by Lord Brahma, that we are describing, we are reading here. And the third aspect in the Bhagavatam, it is described stanam, or we can translate it simply as the establishment. So Sarga, the Lord provides everything, the ingredients, manifest, Purushavatars, etc. And then Lord Brahma, it's manifested, and then he creates manifests the secondary creation. And then Sthanam. This 3rd canto, it's called, I know I'm asking these questions just to keep you awake. Sthanam, it's called, the 3rd canto is called status quo, which means, when we ask what's your status, right? What does it mean? What's your position? What status? Status quo is it's Latin. State, like estado. What's your state? I remembered in my ID it says estado. which means you're single or married or whatever else. So the status quo means how things are established. So this is manifested, then it's created or organized by Lord Brahma, and now this is how things are manifested, the status quo. So this is describing the energy of the Lord, right? Lord Krishna explains, Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adijagya. Means I am the source of creation, I am the source of maintenance or management of the universal affairs, and ultimately I am the supreme enjoyer. Right? So the Bhagavatam, it's convincing us that He's actually the source of everything. And what happens when we realize that He's the source of everything? Right? Then we worship Him in full consciousness of Him. And that's what He says in the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 7, He tells Arjuna, Takshirinu, listen now. In the first section of the Bhagavad Gita, He explains mostly about the jiva, about what it's our identity, right? Chapter 3, who's studying Bhagavad Gita here? Some of the young devotees studying Gita. Chapter 3, title? Karma Yoga, good one. So who are we? That's our identity. Chapter 2, what is that we are meant to do? Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, action, work, duty. Chapter 4, what's the title? Transcendental knowledge, what we need to understand, how we need to understand. And then chapter 5, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. What happens when you apply chapter 2, 3, and 4? You get chapter 5. Yattamam shantin richati. You become peaceful. That's the sequence. And then finally, the last chapter of that section, chapter 6, it's called, you know the titles at least, that's easy. Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga refers to the process of thinking. Right? Meditation means that we are thinking on one point, on one thing. So Krishna explains about us in the first 6 chapters. And then in the middle chapters, He explains about Himself. So this is what He says to Arjuna. Just like when, in school, now I've been engaged in teaching Shastra in this school. And I can see it reminds me of my good old days, when the teacher is not around and everyone's playing, And then when the teacher comes, then you, hey. So in that same way, Krishna in chapter 7, He tells Arjuna, Takshirinu, now you listen. Okay, I spoke about you and your troubles, and I helped you. You're not the body, you're the soul. There's no need to lament. Natvam sochitum arhasi. Why are you lamenting? He says 6, 7 times in the 2nd chapter. But now He's going to talk about Him. And this is what He says. Now hear, O son of Pritha Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me. Okay, this is important. In full consciousness of me. With mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. That's what He explains. So, the idea of the Bhagavatam is that we can become fully conscious of Krishna. Otherwise, as in the Shastras it is explained in Bhagavatam, that we may be doing worship thinking, okay, He is the Lord. Yeah, He's the boss. And I'm going to do something for Him so I can get something back. I can get some reward. Okay. So we don't worship the Lord out of fear or out of interest. We are meant to worship Him out of love. That's the highest. But in order for us to come to that level, we have to understand, why do we worship Him? Why do we worship Krishna? What would you say? Why do we worship Krishna? The source of everything. Good. Anything else? Why do we worship Him? Because? Gratitude. That's a good one. Okay. Reciprocation. Yeah, nice. Tick, tick. Anyone else? Or the senses? Yeah, practical, right? Otherwise, we go wild. Right? Yeah. We worship the Lord because He is the boss of everything and everyone. Right? So the question, I remember many, many years back when learning from Anmatato Prabhu in the when I was attending the Gurukul classes in Mayapur, he will always prompt his students to ask why and how. Huh? That's the idea. Why? Why do we worship Him? And how do we worship Him? Then you learn, and you are trained, and you are initiated, second initiated, etc. Like that. So why do we say that the Lord is supreme? Why? Srila Prabhupada explains in the first canto, in the introduction, the first 2 lines. I'm paraphrasing. He says that God and the absolute truth are not on the same level. God and the absolute truth are not on the same level. It's interesting. Because the idea of God, he explains that it refers to Ishvara. That's the idea of God. Ishvara. One of the 5 topics of the Gita is Ishvara. So, the concept of Ishvara refers to, what does Ishvara mean? Controller. Yeah? And there are many Ishvaras also. Right? A governor, the prime minister, the father, the husband, the teacher. There are different Ishvaras like that. But the Parameshwara, the supreme Ishvara, is the Lord. So, but Prabhupada explains that God and the concept of absolute truth are not on the same level. That's quite interesting. And why does he say that? It's very, I don't know, it's really telling. Anyway, I'm a slow learner. My Guru Maharaj always tells me. So it took me decades to kind of work it out. Because the absolute truth refers to Krishna controlling his energies. Right? Jiva Goswami explains, and Prabhupada mentions one of his Bhagavatam purports, 2nd or 3rd canto, forgot. Jiva Goswami says that everyone says that God is great. Yeah? Many religions, many beliefs. God is great. Yeah? Yeah. Even indigenous people of different regions in the world, God is great. Everyone is afraid of, there's something up there. Jiva Goswami explains that no one knows exactly how great God is. That's something that stuck in my mind. Nobody knows how great God is. And only a Vaishnava can know how great God is. Why? Because Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhigyanati. Unless we have love for Him, we won't know Him in truth. Therefore, the Bhagavatam presents all these details. Then we are learning here how great God is. That to the most minute element of the creation, the atom, He is the source of it. And this is how He manifests things. Oh, this is how great God is. Therefore, when we do our puja, when we do our chanting, when we do our service, then we're very, very conscious of Krishna and how He is in relationship to His energies. And we're also part of Krishna. So, in that way, our Krishna consciousness, like Krishna says to Arjuna, can be, or our relationship to Him can be in full consciousness. How? By practicing yoga in full consciousness of me. With mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So that is the idea of the Bhagavatam. Why do we worship the Lord? We say because He is supreme. How is He supreme? Supreme implies an idea of control. Someone is controlling. Why the sun is rising at a certain time every single day? Right? Why all these things are happening? Why are we floating? We are floating right now. Are we? Yes? Or not? So they say? We're floating, right? Yeah? Some doubtful minds. So, to simplify things, this is the sequence. The source, just to remember things. Who is the source? Huh? Who is the controller? Source, Adibhuta, controller, Adidaiva, and enjoyer. And that is the problem. That we in this material world, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, we have this like a worm. You know, we have an apple or a avocado, and then you are so excited to enjoy it, right? And then you open it and you're peeling it, whatever, and then what do you find inside? A little worm, and then ruins the whole thing. Cannot offer it, and maybe some of us stingies, we just push the thing outside and we eat the other part, but we cannot offer that to the Lord. So we ruin the whole thing. That's the idea. Why? Because we want to enjoy. And why do we want to enjoy? Because we are in the illusion that we are the controllers. And why do we get into this conception of I want to control and enjoy? Because we think we are the source. You see the sequence? So it makes sense. Source, control, and enjoyment. That's why Srila Prabhupada said that the last verse of chapter 5, who remembers that one? If I would have a Mahaswita, I will give it to someone. If Bhoktaram, you know, Prabhu? You know the verse? No? Bhoktaram Jagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatamam Shantin Richati. If someone understands that he is the supreme controller, he is the supreme enjoyer. Bhoktaram Jagya Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Again, we have the word there, Ishwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. But there's one thing that we have to point out, especially for devotees, that Krishna is not only the owner and the controller. Imagine or remember if you ever had those blessed opportunity to go for a job interview, right? Remember that time when you're facing the boss, right? And he or she is explaining who runs things here, right? And you're very quietly trying to nod your head and thinking how much money I'm going to get, right? There's a power, what's called power differential. And yes, he or she is the boss of this company, so I have to obey, okay? And they control things, they have cameras, and then you have to clock, you know, when you go in or out, right? And then you're going to enjoy whatever rewards they give you, the salary. Yeah, that's how it works. But imagine this situation, that the boss wants to be your friend. The boss says, tell me whatever troubles you have, I'll take care of you. That generally doesn't happen, right? You come, you work, you get your salary, maybe you work for 30, 35 years, and after that, shesh, ho gaya, finish, finito. That's it. You go and get your pension and get lost. You're useless. I'm exaggerating. I'm not saying that everyone's like that. But imagine if that boss tells you, you know, after your working life, you can come to me. That's what Krishna is saying so many times. Homework for those Gita students. How many times Krishna says, you will come to me? The back to Godhead offer. How many times? Right? Not only I'm the controller, not only I'm the source of everything, I'm the enjoyer, yes, but I am your best friend. Surida Sarva Bhutanam. And therefore, then we have that attitude of reciprocation, of what Mate said, gratitude, right? And then when we worship Krishna, then we understand we're worshiping because, yes, not only he's the owner, not only he's the controller, right? But he's the best friend. So the question, again, how is he the best friend? And I know that each one of you have an answer for that because he has dealt with you. Krishna is called Rasaraj. He's the champion of rasas or the king of rasas. So each one of us had some dealings with him. And in some of your cases and in our cases, remember the first time when you saw the devotees? I remember the first times I saw the devotees. Remember the first time you got a plate of prasadam? Generally, that's a good one, right? Do you remember what was the first prasadam that you got? Yeah? Yeah? What was it? Halava. Pakora. The famous pakoras. Halava. My first sabji was a, what's it called? Bigun sabji. How do you say bigun in English, Maharaj? Bigun? The purple one, what's it called? Bigun? How do you say bigun? Eggplant. Wasn't nice. I don't like eggplant. And the Prabhu told me, the temple president, he came and says, you have to eat everything. That is sacred food. And there I was, enjoying myself in a transcendental experience. But I'll never forget. And I remember decades after, when I was serving my Guru Maharaj, and I had to cook for him in Bangkok. I'm not a cook for sure. And then I said, Guru Maharaj, I don't know how to cook, but I can try, you know. So he says, cook whatever, but don't cook eggplant. I don't like eggplant. And my heart just, I remember, I said, Guru Maharaj, that's exactly my experience. He said, I gotta go to the kitchen, do something. But yeah, so Krishna related to us in some ways because he wanted us back, right? The devotee came, talked to you. Someone gave you a book. You saw the Harinam. Something happened in your life. I always say this, that my only regret is that I couldn't see Prabhupada, you know, because I remember when I went to the temple the first time, early in the morning, 6 o'clock or something, and the previous night they had a university program, so the devotees stayed late, distributed prasadam, brought a lot of students back to the temple, chanted till past midnight, whatever. That's what they told me. So nobody was up. Everyone was just getting ready. And I saw one Bhagavad Gita there. And there was one Mataji chanting. So she saw me and I was kind of spaced out. You know, I heard, the temple, so I just went to check it out. And she came and gave me the Bhagavad Gita. She says, you can read this until the devotees get. And she explained me the whole thing, what happened last night. Because otherwise we are up from 4:30 or earlier. So I said, okay, whatever. You know, for me, 6 o'clock was super early anyway. But I was there like doing my tapasya. And then there was a Back to Godhead magazine. And in the back of the All Back to Godhead magazine, there was a picture of Prabhupada in the, you know. And then I saw. And somehow, because I was thinking, I need a guru or something. I opened the page, and because I read English, so I started reading about him. But of course, it doesn't say that he had passed away. So I said to the Mataji, I said, could I be his student? Just like in my silly head. Could I be? And she was shocked. I remember her face was like, and I thought she intended to say, how you dare? And I was about to apologize, and then she gave me this smile, like smirk, like something she was thinking, and then she says, yeah, sure, sure you can. This was 80, I don't know, 1, 2 or something like that. And I didn't know that Prabhupada wasn't in the planet. So I was thinking, while I was reading the Gita that she left me, that, maybe one day I can be Prabhupada, you know, student, disciple. I didn't know anything. It didn't say of course, because that was when Prabhupada was present. So Krishna sent us devotees in different ways for us to be here reading about Krishna's energies. And the first thing that Krishna explains about himself in chapter 7, which is called, what's chapter 7 title? Knowledge of the Absolute. And what does Prabhupada said in the beginning of the Bhagavatam? God and the concept of absolute truth are not on the same level. It took me long years to connect what Prabhupada was saying there, that unless we understand the energies of Krishna, we will be confused. And unfortunately, in our movement, we had too many examples of that, because we thought, okay, I'm a devotee, I shaved up, I put 3, 5, 7 kuntis, I have these long sikas and so many devotees, saris, first, second initiation, these or other initiations. And then we got confused. Why? Because we didn't know, as it is explained in the Sri Upanishad, that we have to understand, how's that verse? We have to understand vidya, knowledge, and avidya, hand by hand. And if we don't, we get confused. And that's why the Bhagavatam brings this, that every moment, every second, it's an energy of the Lord in action, right? Half an hour ago, we started talking, and that half an hour, it's gone. It's never going to come back. And as Chanakya Pandit says, and Prabhupada often quoted, what is the most valuable thing that we have? Okay. Time. And Prabhupada says, doesn't matter how many millions of dollars. Okay, we say, okay, we can collect, I don't know, $10 million. Yeah, time is Krishna, of course. Yeah, Krishna says to Arjuna, and time. But the importance of time is how we use it. And Rupa Goswami says that the 2 first symptoms of a devotee who's advancing is shantir, which means pacified, and abhyartha kalatvam, that a devotee is interested in using his or her time in serving Krishna the best way. And the Bhagavatam confirms that. It says, Ayur harati vai pumsam, that every rising and setting of the sun, we have something less, 1 day less in our lives. Every setting, every rising and setting of the sun, 1 day less, right? Oh, beautiful sunrise, beautiful sunset, 1 day less. Ayur harati vai pumsam, udyam ashtam chayan aso. Sun rising, sun setting, and whatever in between, we are being stolen. Harati means steals. Harati vai pumsam. Jararte. That if we use time properly, what is the best way to use our time? Yes. Utamashloka vartaye. Utamashloka vartaye. If we just constantly glorify Krishna, constantly serve Him, constantly try to please Him, then our time is utilized in the best way. And then at the end of our life, what Krishna says, you will come to me. Mam evaisyasi satyam te, for sure, my evaisyasi asamsaya, without any doubt, you will come to me. Provided you utilize your time properly, right? Sometimes we have this mentality, or have this mentality. Well, Lord Chaitanya is very kind. No hard and fast rules. Whatever goes, He knows me. He knows that I have a good heart. But then I can sleep like and waste my time all day long. It doesn't work like that. So, as Prabhupada explains, love begins with obedience. Love begins with obedience. So we need to obey the Lord's instructions. We need to obey the Lord's representative, right? Because we want to develop that. It's not a torture. It's not an imposition, as Prabhupada says, on the mind. It's because our own benefit. You may not like the taste of the medicine, but it's good, right? It's good. That's why we all are here, because we have experienced something that it's helping. The relief of that anxiety. I don't know your stories, but I'm sure you must have had experienced some anxiety in your life, right? Unless you were a yogi meditating somewhere, learning mantras and doing pujas. I don't know. That wasn't my background. I was totally confused, totally lost. I didn't know where I was going, heading towards university and this and that, and thinking I'm just going to have a big house by the beach and my friends and my dogs and surfboards and girlfriends and party. you know. And then one devotee told me, okay, let's fast forward that video. Let's fast forward it. He told me, for how long can you serve? For how long? Till you are 70 something? I don't know. You know, until when can you enjoy? He just slapped me. Yeah? And then I thought, maybe for the first time in my life, I was using my human capacity to think and to question, where is my life heading? And he said, read this. If you have any intelligence, read this book. So I did. So here we are, by the mercy of Prabhupada and the devotees, learning about the energy of Krishna, the absolute truth. Okay, we stop. We have a few minutes. If there's any questions, corrections, clarifications. Mate, I interrupted you. Sorry. I said it. Oh, tell me, what were you going to say? Yeah. Right. I'm just repeating this. I'm just repeating these things because I heard it. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your attention and your patience. Forgive me if anything, especially being in front of senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples, Maharaj, etc. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gauda Premanandi. Sajani, you may write there that the next one is 21. Somewhere.